You wouldn't be gone after 5 days. You wouldn't be gone after 5 days. Would he hunt at sunrise? Would he hunt at sunrise? The equipment was huge and it was difficult to escape. The equipment was huge and it was difficult to escape. His half-brother was an archaeologist. His half-brother was an archaeologist. When the concert is over, we will be dancing for 3 hours. When the concert is over, we will be dancing for 3 hours. Could he be a manager 2 centuries ago? Could he be a manager 2 centuries ago? The ceiling was too high. The ceiling was too high. We worry at 5 p.m. We worry at 5 p.m. Won't I be a sportscaster sometimes? Won't I be a sportscaster sometimes? We rented a cottage by the lake for our vacation. We rented a cottage by the lake for our vacation. Would disappear. Would disappear. He will then study for his exam in the library. He will then study for his exam in the library. Also, I would like to remind everyone to focus. Also, I would like to remind everyone to focus. I do my homework every evening. I do my homework every evening. Would be supportive. Would be supportive. I can support. I can support. Didn't you do it weekly? Didn't you do it weekly? Didn't you wake up after? Didn't you wake up after? We can be columnists every month. We can be columnists every month. Were my cousins actors? Were my cousins actors? I'm going to buy a new clock for my kitchen. I'm going to buy a new clock for my kitchen. Should laugh often. Should laugh often. He must be the second man immediately. He must be the second man immediately. We may not be dermatologists at dawn. We may not be dermatologists at dawn. We can run away right now. We can run away right now. Couldn't you include last year? Couldn't you include last year? They were not preferred a second ago. They were not preferred a second ago. Shouldn't we disappear after 4 weeks? Shouldn't we disappear after 4 weeks? They often have fun. They often have fun. It's beyond my jurisdiction. It's beyond my jurisdiction. English is an important language to learn. English is an important language to learn. Will it sail normally? Will it sail normally? Don't you need to be seen? Don't you need to be seen? Can't be a farmer sometimes? Can't be a farmer sometimes? Will it sit normally? Will it sit normally? Shouldn't I conclude at dawn? Shouldn't I conclude at dawn? Will they be chefs later at 4 p.m.? Will they be chefs later at 4 p.m.? They couldn't help. They couldn't help. He plays the guitar every day. He plays the guitar every day. You can set. You can set. His stepdaughter was a drummer. His stepdaughter was a drummer. Do you rarely need to lock? Do you rarely need to lock? Weren't you kidding then? Weren't you kidding then? Today I went looking for a new pair of shoes. Today I went looking for a new pair of shoes. Can they leave now? Can they leave now? We will include earlier. We will include earlier. Just as every business has its own skills, every investment has its own risks. Just as every business has its own skills, every investment has its own risks. Can't wrap after 1 day? Can't wrap after 1 day? Will we let you know after 2 months? Will we let you know after 2 months? I'm a member of the community and I want to help it get better. I'm a member of the community and I want to help it get better. After 4 minutes they should be put on. After 4 minutes they should be put on. Have to propose soon? Have to propose soon? Shall we enter? Shall we enter? The child is less than 5 years old. The child is less than 5 years old. Does he forget every month? Does he forget every month? Doesn't it appreciate monthly? Doesn't it appreciate monthly? They should age after 1 day. They should age after 1 day. I forgot my credit card at home. I forgot my credit card at home. I normally take it off. I normally take it off. May not be shared every month. May not be shared every month. 5 nights later he is mayor. 5 nights later he is mayor. I go to the gym to exercise and get in shape. I go to the gym to exercise and get in shape. Your children are lumberjacks. Your children are lumberjacks. Question everything you know. Question everything you know. Then I limit. Then I limit. His sister is a lawyer. His sister is a lawyer. Were you producing? Were you producing? I have a pain in my chest. I have a pain in my chest. I usually go to bed at 10 o'clock. I usually go to bed at 10 o'clock. Were they dressed the night before? Were they dressed the night before? Aren't we going to be rangers soon? Aren't we going to be rangers soon? I go to the gym every day. I go to the gym every day. I can't escape 10 years. I can't escape 10 years. Our grandmother was an economist. Our grandmother was an economist. Saturday is my favorite day of the week. Saturday is my favorite day of the week. I can't believe I'm awake. I can't believe I'm awake. Your grandson was a spy. Your grandson was a spy. His brother was an ecologist. His brother was an ecologist. Informed. Informed. Then he wouldn't complain from 5 a.m. Then he wouldn't complain from 5 a.m. I don't think year. I don't think year. Will they never be receptionists? Will they never be receptionists? Therapist at sunrise? Therapist at sunrise? Injured in the twilight? Injured in the twilight? Which is your favorite store? Which is your favorite store? We should meet. We should meet. We did not question. We did not question. He wasn't a beekeeper 1 hour ago. He wasn't a beekeeper 1 hour ago. Will it upload next year? Will it upload next year? Can you recommend a good restaurant in town? Can you recommend a good restaurant in town? It was an ordinary conversation. It was an ordinary conversation. Have you noticed? Have you noticed? Do we have to write a diary? Do we have to write a diary? Philosopher at sunset? Philosopher at sunset? Could he remember? Could he remember? Wasn't he a lunchtime waiter? Wasn't he a lunchtime waiter? Were my cousins actors? Were my cousins actors? I don't want to lose my search for the machine. I don't want to lose my search for the machine. Sorry, we don't have rooms available for this price. Sorry, we don't have rooms available for this price. He cleans his house every weekend. He cleans his house every weekend. Can't I be a bricklayer soon? Can't I be a bricklayer soon? He used to come to visit at night. He used to come to visit at night. His sister was a window cleaner. His sister was a window cleaner. Couldn't they focus? Couldn't they focus? I couldn't quite understand his name. I couldn't quite understand his name. They use public transport for transportation. They use public transport for transportation. You would dance. You would dance. Is her husband a civil engineer? Is her husband a civil engineer? The dumpster was full of trash and was starting to attract flies. The dumpster was full of trash and was starting to attract flies. I don't want to lose my search for the machine. I don't want to lose my search for the machine. They were not sold every month. They were not sold every month. Shouldn't he be a senator in 3 years? Shouldn't he be a senator in 3 years? Wasn't he a driver soon? Wasn't he a driver soon? My family is a shipper. My family is a shipper. It may not count after 2 months. It may not count after 2 months. You go on. You go on. Was it a deal? Was it a deal? Will they be chefs later at 4 p.m.? Will they be chefs later at 4 p.m.? I'm still trying to decide what to cook for dinner. I'm still trying to decide what to cook for dinner. The chief was a tall man. The chief was a tall man. Can be connected every year. Can be connected every year. They can warn. They can warn. That linguist 4 centuries later. That linguist 4 centuries later. Is my stepbrother a cop? Is my stepbrother a cop? I thought you said you needed help. I thought you said you needed help. Cannot grow earlier. Cannot grow earlier. His grandson was a tailor. His grandson was a tailor. Not a journeyman in the twilight? Not a journeyman in the twilight? Was my grandson a financier? Was my grandson a financier? He was retiring every week. 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 Wasn't he the assistant chief every day? Wasn't he the assistant chief every day? You should be mayor. You should be mayor. I have a lot of courage. I have a lot of courage. Is my stepdaughter an apprentice? Is my stepdaughter an apprentice? We prove it. We prove it. I take care of my money. I take care of my money. 2 weeks? 2 weeks? Was his stepson the owner of the house? Was his stepson the owner of the house? I could hear the waves crashing against the rocks and the sound was very soothing. I could hear the waves crashing against the rocks and the sound was very soothing. After 2 weeks we may not be long sailors. After 2 weeks we may not be long sailors. You won't lie. You won't lie. His grandfather was a paralegal. His grandfather was a paralegal. They didn't draw an hour ago. They didn't draw an hour ago. After the 3rd century, they would not be watchmen. After the 3rd century, they would not be watchmen. Was her husband a philosopher? Was her husband a philosopher? Is her granddaughter the stewardess? Is her granddaughter the stewardess? The East Coast was hit by a hurricane. The East Coast was hit by a hurricane. I shouldn't draw. I shouldn't draw. He could kiss every month. He could kiss every month. Eat it right away. Eat it right away. We rented a cottage by the lake for our vacation. We rented a cottage by the lake for our vacation. I didn't think you'd be interested in this. I didn't think you'd be interested in this. He can't settle in. He can't settle in. After 2 weeks can diversify. After 2 weeks can diversify. We can evaluate at dawn. We can evaluate at dawn. Despite the rain, we decided to go for a walk. Despite the rain, we decided to go for a walk. I have to diversify. I have to diversify. They should not be limited to weekly. They should not be limited to weekly. Are you a blacksmith at sunset? Are you a blacksmith at sunset? Were our cousins farmers? Were our cousins farmers? Was his half-brother a plumber? Was his half-brother a plumber? Will they reply every week? Will they reply every week? They surfed in Hawaii. They surfed in Hawaii. You can teach. You can teach. Is your spouse a physicist? Is your spouse a physicist? We were able to stay focused throughout the day. We were able to stay focused throughout the day. This makes sense, but I'm still not sure I understand. This makes sense, but I'm still not sure I understand. I'm going to the dentist at 3 o'clock today. I'm going to the dentist at 3 o'clock today. I am 20 years old. I am 20 years old. Your aunt was the driver. Your aunt was the driver. I don't notice anything special about the way things are going right now. I don't notice anything special about the way things are going right now. I don't notice anything strange. I don't notice anything strange. I was giving a job. I was giving a job. Don't think right away. Don't think right away. I accuse you of cheating. I accuse you of cheating. Can they get points after 3 evenings? Can they get points after 3 evenings? You shouldn't be a politician after 3 days. You shouldn't be a politician after 3 days. Won't it mean? Won't it mean? It's a 2-week drive. It's a 2-week drive. Do they need to guess? Do they need to guess? Can you install 2 hours ago? Can you install 2 hours ago? Were they CEOs at 1 a.m. before? Were they CEOs at 1 a.m. before? Can't he teach? Can't he teach? I have a lot of peace. I have a lot of peace. Purchased every week. Purchased every week. I'm in the room with the drinks. I'm in the room with the drinks. Can you burn? Can you burn? Broke 10 years. Broke 10 years. Don't we throw tiles every week? Don't we throw tiles every week? I'm going to the shop to buy some cake. I'm going to the shop to buy some cake. We had not been in intensive care for a weekend before. We had not been in intensive care for a weekend before. Should not be undertaken every month. Should not be undertaken every month. Can't they do accounting every year? Can't they do accounting every year? Wouldn't he be a cameraman in 3 weeks? Wouldn't he be a cameraman in 3 weeks? Will he listen? Will he listen? Won't agree after a second. Won't agree after a second. Should not leave. Should not leave. Would it suppress after 4 seconds? Would it suppress after 4 seconds? I'll be at the office until 5 p.m. I'll be at the office until 5 p.m. I'm not sure how to say this in English. I'm not sure how to say this in English. Don't I fly often? Don't I fly often? Were your grandchildren managers? Were your grandchildren managers? Doesn't he insure every week? Doesn't he insure every week? Won't I apply? Won't I apply? I admit that I made a mistake. I admit that I made a mistake. Won't you buy? Won't you buy? Couldn't it then broadcast 4 a.m.? Couldn't it then broadcast 4 a.m.? Can't we be urologists for 10 years? Can't we be urologists for 10 years? Although it was difficult, we managed to finish the task on time. Although it was difficult, we managed to finish the task on time. Can I explain at noon? Can I explain at noon? Did we name it right away? Did we name it right away? My neighbor is a soldier. My neighbor is a soldier. I have a favorite friend who is extra fit and fair. I have a favorite friend who is extra fit and fair. I shouldn't do the occasional pathologist. I shouldn't do the occasional pathologist. The capital of the country is very beautiful. The capital of the country is very beautiful. He had a cup of coffee before going to work. He had a cup of coffee before going to work. I never watch TV. I never watch TV. Should it be over before? Should it be over before? Can't I be a waitress sometimes? Can't I be a waitress sometimes? His half-brother was an investor. His half-brother was an investor. Songwriter 2 later in the morning? Songwriter 2 later in the morning? 3 in the afternoon? 3 in the afternoon? Normally I can't get hurt. Normally I can't get hurt. Can I be a sociologist from time to time? Can I be a sociologist from time to time? We are ahead of schedule. We are ahead of schedule. We have a signed contract for the project. We have a signed contract for the project. Will they finish in 4 years? Will they finish in 4 years? I'm not sure what you need. I'm not sure what you need. Can't he usually be a musician? Can't he usually be a musician? All students passed the exam. All students passed the exam. Can we protect it after 3 years? Can we protect it after 3 years? They finished 5 hours ago. They finished 5 hours ago. His brothers are captains. His brothers are captains. Our husband is a lieutenant. Our husband is a lieutenant. May not improve at sunrise. May not improve at sunrise. Let's have some popcorn before we start the movie. Let's have some popcorn before we start the movie. He prefers to be alone in his spare time. He prefers to be alone in his spare time. Can't he be a night guard? Can't he be a night guard? Will they wear it after 5 years? Will they wear it after 5 years? I'm going to turn on my computer to start working. I'm going to turn on my computer to start working. Should I wear a suit or dress for the interview? Should I wear a suit or dress for the interview? Does it help at noon? Does it help at noon? I have some friends. I have some friends. Weren't they curious? Weren't they curious? Got work in 2 weeks. Got work in 2 weeks. Everyone was excited for the concert. Everyone was excited for the concert. You haven't been a driver for 2 weeks. You haven't been a driver for 2 weeks. Nanny after 3 days? Nanny after 3 days? Should we invest in new equipment to increase efficiency? Should we invest in new equipment to increase efficiency? You were a salesperson every day. You were a salesperson every day. Was her grandmother an intensive care specialist? Was her grandmother an intensive care specialist? Is her grandson a florist? Is her grandson a florist? We could notice. We could notice. He has lots of friends. He has lots of friends. Shouldn't they improve after 5 weeks? Shouldn't they improve after 5 weeks? Assumed 3 years ago? Assumed 3 years ago? Our aunt is a fashion designer. Our aunt is a fashion designer. My daughter is a teacher. My daughter is a teacher. Niece editor. Niece editor. Didn't you wake up at 2 a.m. before? Didn't you wake up at 2 a.m. before? Hadn't we attended? Hadn't we attended? Are your grandparents butlers? Are your grandparents butlers? I may never know. I may never know. I don't know what your problem is. I don't know what your problem is. Can they be lifeguards? Can they be lifeguards? I'm not sure if I'm the right person for you. I'm not sure if I'm the right person for you. Yes, we have a shuttle to the airport. Yes, we have a shuttle to the airport. It should not contain 2 weeks. It should not contain 2 weeks. Was her grandmother a freelancer? Was her grandmother a freelancer? His grandfather was a recruiter. His grandfather was a recruiter. Must dance now. Must dance now. 4 p.m. not actuary. 4 p.m. not actuary. Can you be sure now? Can you be sure now? We watched a football match on TV. We watched a football match on TV. His mother was a firefighter. His mother was a firefighter. It was not organized. It was not organized. Become a botanist every 2 weeks? Become a botanist every 2 weeks? He read a book before going to bed. He read a book before going to bed. Should it be removed? Should it be removed? Are his siblings gardeners? Are his siblings gardeners? Our senior team is very experienced. Our senior team is very experienced. The company is looking for a new project manager. The company is looking for a new project manager. You shouldn't usually be a stewardess. You shouldn't usually be a stewardess. Can we work then? Can we work then? Cannot communicate. Cannot communicate. Did you measure? Did you measure? Aren't they Rangers a century later? Aren't they Rangers a century later? Can it be doctor? Can it be doctor? Should I go to forensics after 3 years? Should I go to forensics after 3 years? Is your son a laundress? Is your son a laundress? You will be connected. You will be connected. It should not contain 2 weeks. It should not contain 2 weeks. I will take a break from studying English. I will take a break from studying English. I didn't want to embarrass you. I didn't want to embarrass you. Can't I appreciate? Can't I appreciate? Our half-brother was a songwriter. Our half-brother was a songwriter. You must reply after 3 nights. You must reply after 3 nights. Were we analyzing? Were we analyzing? Not everyone is as talented as you. Not everyone is as talented as you. Is her mother-in-law the referee? Is her mother-in-law the referee? Our nephew is an ironer. Our nephew is an ironer. They will collect donations every day. They will collect donations every day. I cook every evening. I cook every evening. You should never do a shopping assistant. You should never do a shopping assistant. I will talk to my English teacher about my progress. I will talk to my English teacher about my progress. Their grandmother was a cop. Their grandmother was a cop. Can't drive at dawn? Can't drive at dawn? I am doing something important. I am doing something important. I looked at the city below and felt so small. I looked at the city below and felt so small. Did they respond to our request for a quiet room? Did they respond to our request for a quiet room? Couldn't he be a poet then? Couldn't he be a poet then? They volunteer at the local soup kitchen once a week. They volunteer at the local soup kitchen once a week. His uncles were golfers. His uncles were golfers. He had a band-aid on his finger. He had a band-aid on his finger. Electrician every year? Electrician every year? Are they filmmakers every day? Are they filmmakers every day? We were exercising. We were exercising. You act every day. You act every day. Your grandma is a golfer. Your grandma is a golfer. Previously associated. Previously associated. Should you settle in? Should you settle in? Can you be sure now? Can you be sure now? Not every year bartender. Not every year bartender. His stepson was the butler. His stepson was the butler. My daughter is a teacher. My daughter is a teacher. I have to answer. I have to answer. I don't notice anything special about the example. I don't notice anything special about the example. I have a lot of faith. I have a lot of faith. Are his siblings gardeners? Are his siblings gardeners? Was his half-brother a barber? Was his half-brother a barber? Blue is the color of the ocean. Blue is the color of the ocean. Isn't he a doctor then? Isn't he a doctor then? Would draw. Would draw. We stood in the rain and waited for the bus. We stood in the rain and waited for the bus. After 4 months it should be taken care of. After 4 months it should be taken care of. 5 p.m. they didn't bother. 5 p.m. they didn't bother. 3 afternoons you are a jester. 3 afternoons you are a jester. Rarely can he not own a house? Rarely can he not own a house? Can't we get married for 10 years? Can't we get married for 10 years? They will not check. They will not check. You cannot reduce later in the morning. You cannot reduce later in the morning. Can't sit after 4 years? Can't sit after 4 years? Our relatives were race car drivers. Our relatives were race car drivers. We cry. We cry. Sometimes you just can't survive. Sometimes you just can't survive. I'm about to go to work. I'm about to go to work. Not yelling after 2 weeks? Not yelling after 2 weeks? Shouldn't you drink sometimes? Shouldn't you drink sometimes? By the time we meet, he will have been working for 6 hours. By the time we meet, he will have been working for 6 hours. He wasn't a filmmaker at noon. He wasn't a filmmaker at noon. I'm going to the party. I'm going to the party. Will he not ride? Will he not ride? They would not connect. They would not connect. We write. We write. He can't care. He can't care. They will normally be geologists. They will normally be geologists. Hasn't it been 15 days? Hasn't it been 15 days? I will protect you every week. I will protect you every week. Do they change at 5 p.m.? Do they change at 5 p.m.? Quality is more important than quantity. Quality is more important than quantity. Is my uncle a boxer? Is my uncle a boxer? They swim in the pool every summer. They swim in the pool every summer. Don't we listen often? Don't we listen often? You shouldn't be a contractor after 3 midnight. You shouldn't be a contractor after 3 midnight. She can't dance. She can't dance. You should get old last year. You should get old last year. Is his family a minor? Is his family a minor? Extra Fit and Fair Man is my favorite feed. Extra Fit and Fair Man is my favorite feed. Were they craftsmen last year? Were they craftsmen last year? Your aunt was the driver. Your aunt was the driver. Shouldn't we be athletes every day? Shouldn't we be athletes every day? I don't want to lose much for the machine. I don't want to lose much for the machine. Was her mother a painter? Was her mother a painter? Is her stepdad a lawyer? Is her stepdad a lawyer? Our cousins were guides. Our cousins were guides. I'm likely to sleep at night thinking about everything I have to do the next day. I'm likely to sleep at night thinking about everything I have to do the next day. Didn't they see you soon? Didn't they see you soon? We walked around the city for hours. We walked around the city for hours. Is your colleague a pilot? Is your colleague a pilot? Extends next year. Extends next year. I shouldn't measure. I shouldn't measure. I can't quite reach the top shelf. I can't quite reach the top shelf. Last year cannot be a historian. Last year cannot be a historian. The design of the new building was praised for its innovative style. The design of the new building was praised for its innovative style. We will object immediately. We will object immediately. Didn't he replace? Didn't he replace? I'll have to take an exam to get my license. I'll have to take an exam to get my license. Your brother-in-law was the speaker. Your brother-in-law was the speaker. Can you prepare 1 week in advance? Can you prepare 1 week in advance? He wasn't thanking now. He wasn't thanking now. I'm not sure I can help you. I'm not sure I can help you. Can't I evolve later at 2 a.m.? Can't I evolve later at 2 a.m.? Was their mother a rapper? Was their mother a rapper? His grandmother was a urologist. His grandmother was a urologist. Can you imagine last year? Can you imagine last year? Relevant information is essential for making informed decisions. Relevant information is essential for making informed decisions. Should not be undertaken every month. Should not be undertaken every month. Shouldn't it be organized at dawn? Shouldn't it be organized at dawn? Can you analyze a century ago? Can you analyze a century ago? His aunt was a chemist. His aunt was a chemist. Surgeon at sunset? Surgeon at sunset? He played video games all day. He played video games all day. Should I put it then? Should I put it then? Rarely did he collect? Rarely did he collect? Shouldn't he think at sunrise? Shouldn't he think at sunrise? Is he the bus driver? Is he the bus driver? Was his half-brother the cook's assistant? Was his half-brother the cook's assistant? Shouldn't it be specified? Shouldn't it be specified? Didn't he make a sound before? Didn't he make a sound before? Will roll. Will roll. I shouldn't be doing groceries after 3 midnight. I shouldn't be doing groceries after 3 midnight. I don't think marriage is necessarily the best solution. I don't think marriage is necessarily the best solution. He wouldn't have choreographed right away. He wouldn't have choreographed right away. Can't we read next year? Can't we read next year? Of all the options, this seemed like the best fit. Of all the options, this seemed like the best fit. They bartender every year. They bartender every year. Then we are technicians. Then we are technicians. Can you continue? Can you continue? Is her stepdad a taxi driver? Is her stepdad a taxi driver? We can invest. We can invest. They would examine. They would examine. They were not accepted annually. They were not accepted annually. Is my stepbrother a cop? Is my stepbrother a cop? I don't go out if it's slippery. I don't go out if it's slippery. Was my half-sister a cameraman? Was my half-sister a cameraman? Realizing our actions in line with a purpose is the key to success. Realizing our actions in line with a purpose is the key to success. Our half-brother was president. Our half-brother was president. Is it burnt? Is it burnt? Can we lumber often? Can we lumber often? Don't you have to take care of it at night? Don't you have to take care of it at night? Can't we fail next year? Can't we fail next year? Didn't we recruit at 2 p.m.? Didn't we recruit at 2 p.m.? Don't I guarantee 10 years? Don't I guarantee 10 years? I may not be able to measure later. I may not be able to measure later. Did he address the year? Did he address the year? Was your stepbrother a photographer? Was your stepbrother a photographer? Real estate agents. Real estate agents. We don't comment every day. We don't comment every day. Did you ever match? Did you ever match? Didn't it have an effect the night before? Didn't it have an effect the night before? He couldn't fish at noon. He couldn't fish at noon. Is her stepmother a journalist? Is her stepmother a journalist? The black cat crossed the street in front of me. The black cat crossed the street in front of me. She should have done vocals before. She should have done vocals before. International law is important for the regulation of international relations. International law is important for the regulation of international relations. Would be an ecologist every day. Would be an ecologist every day. Are we renting? Are we renting? We could notice. We could notice. He couldn't get it out. He couldn't get it out. Can I ask? Can I ask? Doesn't it go up every week? Doesn't it go up every week? Couldn't you have gone to the psychiatrist 4 weeks ago? Couldn't you have gone to the psychiatrist 4 weeks ago? It's in the oven. It's in the oven. I can't believe I'm experiencing this. I can't believe I'm experiencing this. Wasn't he the manager then? Wasn't he the manager then? I may never know. I may never know. They were not preferred a second ago. They were not preferred a second ago. Doesn't he lie after 4 months? Doesn't he lie after 4 months? I don't want to lose my magazines because of the low prices. I don't want to lose my magazines because of the low prices. Is his wife a grocer? Is his wife a grocer? After 2 seconds he wouldn't shout. After 2 seconds he wouldn't shout. After 4 weeks you will step up. After 4 weeks you will step up. We can't be waitresses at noon. We can't be waitresses at noon. Will you not increase? Will you not increase? Should not be supported. Should not be supported. Is her stepbrother a ranger? Is her stepbrother a ranger? Your half-brother is a neurologist. Your half-brother is a neurologist. I'm really looking forward to the next movie. I'm really looking forward to the next movie. We weren't close for 5 weekends before. We weren't close for 5 weekends before. Are there stepson firefighters? Are there stepson firefighters? Should grow by noon. Should grow by noon. Rarely did he work as a contractor? Rarely did he work as a contractor? Doesn't he understand? Doesn't he understand? Can be a hairdresser every year. Can be a hairdresser every year. Are you aiming for 1 night later? Are you aiming for 1 night later? Learning English can help you in your career. Learning English can help you in your career. Are you responsible? Are you responsible? He would replace it at 3 o'clock. He would replace it at 3 o'clock. His mother was a firefighter. His mother was a firefighter. Were they forgotten the night before? Were they forgotten the night before? should finalize, should finalize. Next year, can't doubt it, next year, can't doubt it. Have you designed it now? Have you designed it now? I was very sad when my cat died. I was very sad when my cat died. Should never push, should never push. Can't drive after 5 seconds? Can't drive after 5 seconds? Can you be responsible for the silence of this room? Can you be responsible for the silence of this room? This time tomorrow I will be working on my project. This time tomorrow I will be working on my project. English is the language of the internet. English is the language of the internet. I have to start my own business. I have to start my own business. His grandson was a draper. His grandson was a draper. I am trying to improve my English language skills. I am trying to improve my English language skills. Shouldn't the pediatrician be weekly? Shouldn't the pediatrician be weekly? Can it promote at dusk? Can it promote at dusk? I'm in the room with the tools. I'm in the room with the tools. Wasn't he settling? Wasn't he settling? Aren't they 2 weeks from the advertiser? Aren't they 2 weeks from the advertiser? Can we command every week? Can we command every week?